He's an American computer programmer and internet entrepreneur. He's best known as one of the co-founders of the social networking website Facebook. His personal net worth is estimated to be $38.6 billion. He's Mark Zuckerberg, and here are his top 10 rules for success.
First of all, focus on it, right? I mean, I think like you basically get what you spend your time doing, right? I mean, I want the company to build 3 products this year. I mean, we're going to work on a few others because people are interested in them, but those are the 3 things that I'm spending my product time on, right? You get what you put into it. If you spend a third of your time trying to make the people around you better through getting better people, mentoring, getting them to be better, getting the best people in your organization who you know into more impactful roles, then I think over time that just accrues and you get a better organization. We've had this tradition for, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years at the company, where every week we have a Q&A where our employees can come and ask me any question that they want about what's going on and what the direction of the company is, or questions or things that they read about in the press, or that their friends who use the product, what they're asking them. And it's been this really important tradition for us, both because we really believe in openness and communication, and that's kind of what Facebook is all about. But it's also really important for me and for running the company to be able to get feedback, right? And to be able to learn what's on people's minds, what our employees and folks who are part of our team are thinking about, and just kind of a lot of the time there are good questions that people ask that change the way that we think about what we're building and what we're here to do in the world. And that often make us go think and reevaluate how we should be approaching different problems. So many things go wrong when you're starting a company, and often I think people ask, what mistakes should you avoid making? And my answer to that question is don't even bother trying to avoid mistakes, because you're going to make tons of mistakes, right? And the important thing is actually learning quickly from whatever mistakes you make and not giving up. Right, and I mean, there are things every single year of Facebook's existence that could have killed us or made it so that it just seemed like moving forward and making a lot of progress just seemed intractable, but you just kind of bounce back and you learn, and nothing is impossible. You just have to kind of keep running through the walls. I don't hire people who I wouldn't work for myself. I think that's a really good heuristic, because everyone knows this, like, there's this saying like, A players hire A players and B players hire C players, which is like good people hire good people. Yeah. And I don't think that that's that informative, right? Because I mean, what are you going to say? Like, to someone in your organization,
hire better
you're a B
people.
player, you don't get to hire people. Like, I mean, no. I mean, and I think a lot of the time the problem is you don't actually know. I mean, sometimes you're like trying to figure out how good someone is. If you didn't think they were good, you wouldn't have hired them. But the heuristic of only hiring people who you would work for tends to be pretty good, I think. Because then it's like, then that right? It's like, I would not work for this person, then okay, I'm not going to like stretch just because I need to fill a role today. When you're starting something, it's just kind of hard. You need to be pretty headstrong about it, right? And there are going to be all these challenges that come up, and I think the main thing that you need to do is just not give up, right? And kind of know what you want to do. And the best entrepreneurs who I've met don't really start companies because their goal is to build a company. They do it because they want to make a change in the world and help people. And I think if you kind of stay true to that, and if you just focus on kind of powering through no matter what the challenges are that will inevitably come up in your path, then you'll find that there are lots of tools that are available and a lot of people who will help you build what you're building. One definition that I have for a good team is a group of people that makes better decisions as a whole than would individually make as a sum of the parts. And I think most smart people like learning, right? And I mean, that's like one of the thrills of starting a company, right? Is the learning curve can be so steep. And if you can set up a team dynamic where you're constantly learning from the people around you, then I mean, what's better, right? It's like, these are the people I wake up every morning and I want to go learn from and work from.
Is that one of your heuristics for hiring people too, to like hire people that you learn from?
Yeah, and when building a team, you want to think about the dynamics, so that way you can maintain this property that the team makes better decisions as a group than any individual would. I always kind of I get a little upset whenever any media attention focuses on me personally and me leading Facebook, much less a movie.
It's been kind of a bad year, hasn't it?
It turned out okay.
Time, Academy.
It turned out good. The time thing was awesome. That was really flattering. But But I think that it's one of these things that the media systematically gets wrong, is that this idea that it's a person, right? It's never a person, right? It's always a team. And the most important thing if you are an entrepreneur trying to build something is you need to build a really good team. And that's what I spend a lot of my time on, right? I mean, I spend probably at least 3 hours a day with our core team, right, and doing things. I spend probably 25% of my time recruiting, finding good people, both outside the company and inside the company to put in more impactful roles. So there's this inherent conflict in the system, though, which is, are we trying to optimize newsfeed to give each person, all of you guys, the best experience when you're reading? Or are we trying to help businesses just reach as many people as possible? And in every decision that we make, we optimize for the first, for making it so that for the people who we serve, who use Facebook and who are reading newsfeed, get the very best experience that they can. And that means that if a business is sharing content that's going to be useful for them, then we'll show that. But that means that if the business is sharing content that isn't going to be useful for them, we may not show that, because it's probably more important that they learn about their friend who had a baby and their baby is healthy. So that's an important guiding principle for how we think about this stuff. And as the products continue to develop, there's just going to be more people sharing more things. And we're going to continue to try to do our best at showing the best things that we can, understanding that there's no way that a person will ever take the time to go through every one of the 1,500 things that are shared with them every single day. But that's kind of how I think about organic reach. And there are a lot of pages that are doing quite successfully, and their organic reach is growing quite a bit because they're delivering content to people that they really want. So if you're a business owner and you're thinking about how to use your free page on Facebook, I would just focus on trying to publish really good content that's going to be compelling to your customers and the people who are following you.
I spent a bunch of time analyzing and reflecting on why it was that we were even able to do it, because all reasons suggest that we shouldn't have been able to do it, right? Because all these other companies had way more engineering power and servers and time and money and all this stuff. And I actually think that this is a pretty instructive thing for anything that you want to go do, because this is the same property is going to be true for anything that you guys start, is that someone else is going to have more resources and be able to do it. The reason why I think we actually ended up being the ones doing it is because we just cared way more about it than everyone else, right? So there were always projects at some of these other companies that were these hobbies, but we always thought that it was this really important thing and really just felt in our gut and our heart that we wanted to do it. And early on, there were always these skeptics saying that, oh, this can't be a business. We didn't actually care that much about it being a business early on. But a lot of the reason why bigger companies didn't invest in it was because it wasn't clear that there was a model that would work for it.
It seemed like a bad idea.
Yeah, and I actually think that that's true for a lot of the best ideas, where it is that it's not that someone else can't do it, they actually can, and the odds are stacked against you, but I think often that belief in the fact that you just care so much about what you're doing is the only thing that kind of drives you to do it. And, to be honest, that kind of drives me to this day. I mean, one of the big emphasis points for the company right now is internet.org. And, for a while we had this rallying cry of, can we connect 1 billion people? And when we started talking about that, we thought that was crazy, right? It was way bigger than any service in the world that had been built, and it was 10 digits long, right? It's like it felt crazy. We'd never get to that. But then the thing is, as we started to actually get closer to that, we took a step back and we're like, all right, well, our mission isn't actually to get 1 in 7 people in the world to be connected. We want to connect everyone. So it's a big issue that only around 1/3 of the people in the world have access to the internet, and that's something that we think that we can do something about. And similar to early Facebook, there's no business model around this. I mean, all the people who have all the money in the world, I mean, it's not necessarily a fair thing, are already the people who are on Facebook, right? It's in the first, 1/7 of the world. But we just believe really strongly. It's like, this is what we are here to do. This is what our company cares about. I care about it. The team cares about it. Our culture cares about it. So we're just going to keep pushing on it. And I actually think a lot of the reason why great stuff gets built is because it's kind of irrational at the time. But so it kind of selects for the people who care the most about it doing it.
But the students around me were really important as well, right? And both in high school and in college, I mean, the people who started Facebook with me, and a lot of the people who are still with me running the company today, are people who I met when I was at Harvard. And some of them were my TFs at Harvard, right? And when the professors were off writing papers, these were the people who actually taught me, and then we hung out, and we had like social bonds and academic bonds, and I wouldn't understate the importance of that. And I mean, it's very tied into my whole philosophy and the product that I spend my life building, Facebook, because we just believe that social bonds are critical. And one way that I think about the value that Facebook is filling in the world is that you go through school, and at least when I did, people just focused on academics, like achievement, different areas. And one of the things that no one really ever taught me was like having friends is really valuable. Now, not that I didn't have friends, but like, although the movie
yes.
might make it seem that I. But
that first girlfriend.
But for sure, I don't think anyone is like. It's not like, okay, third grade, we're gonna teach you that like hanging out with people is a very important development, right? And I don't know, I actually think that is. And I think that's part of the reason why sometimes people view Facebook as a waste of time, but I actually think it's this extremely socially valuable utility. And I know that I wouldn't be where I am today without that aspect of my life being as developed as the academic part.
Thank you so much for watching. I made this video because Moxertons asked me to. So if there's a famous entrepreneur that you want me to profile next, leave it in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. I would also love to know which of Mark Zuckerberg's top 10 rules had the biggest meaning to you. Leave it in the comments and I will join in the discussion. Thank you so much for watching. Continue to believe, and I'll see you soon.
Hey everyone. Yesterday, Governor Chris Christie challenged me to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Governor, I accept your challenge. And after I dump this bucket of ice on my head, I get to nominate 3 new people to challenge. So I'm going to challenge Bill Gates, my partner at Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg, and Netflix's founder and CEO, Reed Hastings, to do this within the next 24 hours. So you have 24 hours to do this, or you have to donate $100. All right, here we go. That was really cold. I think that's why you become an entrepreneur, right? Like, you don't get to pick your partners a lot of the time, but you do get to pick your organization. And you do get to pick who you partner with. I mean, sometimes you may be forced by circumstances to try to work with people who aren't your top pick to have to work with, but you get say over all this stuff, right? And I don't know, don't be a victim, make it happen. But no, I think the real story is just, a lot of hard work, right? I mean, it's a lot of people who are engineers who kind of sit around and code, and we're here because we're trying to help people connect, and we believe deeply in this mission. And our community today has 1.35 billion people in it, and there are 7 billion people in the world, and we want to connect all of them. And that's why we're here.